This is Spanish Mamma Mia with a new recipe that is an old recipe, as a matter of fact, but it's new in this channel. That is empanadas. And empanadas have a lot of history. It comes from the 16th century, but I thought that a lot of people have been asking for this. And I'm gonna do the easy one, that is the ground beef empanada, even though empanada can be made with tuna, chicken. It can make also with ham, cheese, pork cheese. And I'm going to talk about the ingredients. Ingredients is 1 kilo, that would be 2 pounds, around 2 pounds of ground beef. I usually choose the 80-20% that has some 20% of fat because it's more tasty. If you do the lean one, you're really not going to have a lot of taste and not a lot of texture. So I have that. I use olive oil. I like Dolly Estepa. It's not that a disclaimer, they're not paying me for this video, but it's from Seville and I like the taste of this type of olive oil. But if you have any extra virgin olive oil, you can use it and it will be good. Other thing that I use in this recipe is a can of tomato sauce, 8 ounces. That could be any brand of tomato sauce. Do not use tomato paste. Then I have 1 red pepper, bell pepper, red, and another one in green that I cut it in dice. If you see it, very little pieces. You can use also yellow orange if you want to. Also 1 white onion that also you're gonna dice in little pieces. 6 garlic cloves that you already have peeled and you have it separated. And then around 1 dozen of olives. I use the manzanilla variety. That's the one that have the red pepper inside, but you can use any olives as long as they're pitted. They don't have the pitted side. And then you also use cumin. That would be 1 teaspoon of cumin, and salt and pepper to your taste in order to make this delicious empanadas. So we use the salt and pepper to taste. Like I said, 1 teaspoon of cumin. That's the only spices that I use. And then I like to include half a glass, that would be like around 4 to 6 ounces of nice white wine that would be dry. You can use anything like Chardonnay, Pinot grigio, something that would not be sweet, in order that would give that taste to the ground beef. In this part of the video, I'm only going to talk about the part of the filling, and then empanadas can be done bake or fry, but this version of the empanadas, I'm going to fry it. So I have a big skillet or pan that I put 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, that you see it there, and that is for the filling. Back again, it's not for the dough. I'm gonna let that in medium high, and to be sure that that olive oil is hot but it's not burned. And the way that I can check if I put my hand in top, I always do that part, and I have told you in all the videos, in order that you can see if it is hot or not. And the first step that we do with that, after we know that it's hot, is putting our onions. And I want the onions to be sauteed, and I want them to be translucent. So you're gonna put your onions there. If you see it's already jumping, that means that they are sauteing, and you want to be sure they are translucent, and you move it around in order that you will not burn the onions. And that would take like around 2 or 3 minutes. Back again, you don't want it burn, you only want it translucent. That means that the onion are partially cooked. And then after that you see it, like in this point, that's when you're gonna put the garlic, the red pepper, the green pepper that I'm putting here. This in the south of the US is called the Trinity, because it's like you're using 3 different ingredients: peppers, onions, and garlic. In some states of the United States, they added the celery. but in this one I don't use celery. I only use, and this is called in Spain sofrito. So we combine these ingredients, and back again we wanted to be sure that it's sauteed but not burned. And the best way of that is to bring in the fire of the stove to medium, and be sure that you move it around because you want to be cooked homogeneous but without burning. And this step is very important before you are incorporating the ground beef. That will be the next step. So if you see now, it's starting to even. The green peppers and red peppers are already cooked. They are perfect. You're gonna have a little bit of that juice of the pepper, onions, garlic, and this is the perfect time to incorporate the ground beef. And like I said, the ground beef, I like to use the 80-20, which it is a little bit of fat in order that it will have that good taste of the beef. And you are going to, in this step, it would be good that you will add your salt and pepper and also your cumin to give that taste to the beef. Some people also like to put a little bit of thyme or sage. That is completely optional, but I want my empanadas to taste more like beef empanadas with a little bit of salt and pepper and a tiny little bit of cumin. And I want to be sure that I move it around and incorporate it back again, those juices of the green pepper, red pepper, onions and garlic, and then you let it cook and be sure that it will be like around maybe 10 minutes. I don't cover it, I let it uncover because I want to be sure that it's not overcooked. And this will be like another 10 minutes. And then at this point, be sure that you incorporated your white wine. And don't be worried, it's not gonna have an alcohol taste because the alcohol is gonna evaporate it, but it's gonna give that flavor of the wine. So some of my audience asked me, why not red wine? You could use red wine, but then the sauce of the empanada is gonna be a little bit darker in the coloring of the beef as well. So I'd rather stick with white wine. Some people use sherry or jerez. That is another type of wine that you also can use it, but it's a little bit more sweet. So it's a matter of what you want in your empanadas. I'm trying to do it back again the way that I was taught by my grandmother in terms of how to do empanadas. We're gonna incorporate now is 1 can, 8 ounces of a red tomato sauce. I don't use paste, but that's an option that you guys can do. And the reason of this tomato sauce, besides is the flavor, to give a little bit of thick sauce of these empanadas, and also again, like I said, the flavor of tomato sauce. And you're gonna let it reduce. And this is gonna take maybe another 10 minutes. Like I said, I have it in medium, uncover, because I wanna be sure that that juices start to evaporating, and I'm gonna stay with a feeling of the beef that is less liquid and more tasty. At this point, the beef is already cooked. Still, we have some juices. I'm gonna put the olive incorporated in my filling for the beef empanada. And then of course you want to move it around and be sure that it still is reducing. And the olive, besides giving it that coloring, also make it really tasty. Now 5 minutes have passed. You see that the juices have reduced, and you have that beautiful color of the beef filling for the empanadas. You can do two things. What I do, I like to scoot the beef with the filling out of some, if you see that kind of sauce that is a little bit greasy too, in order that I would not include that, and I will put it in a casserole for later on to do my filling of the empanadas. Hi, this is back again, Spanish Mamma Mia, to the second part of the filling of the empanadas. Here I have the ground beef. If you see, I already drained the juice and fat, so it will be only the beef. We don't want to put juices or any fat in this empanada because you don't want it to be liquid. And the other thing that we incorporate, they have is a little, maybe 4 ounces of water, and this is to be sure that we put it around the dough so it close down to make the empanadas. And here I have what we call it the shells made of flour of the empanada that they're already pre-made and they're very easy to fill. I have another recipe that I'm gonna load later how to make this one, but in here I already had it made and it's easy. You can have this one that is smaller, you can make a big one. I have a combination of sunflower oil and olive oil. I like that combination in order to fry my empanadas. I make it clear, some people like to bake it, and you can bake it in the oven, but I like it fried. Also, you can use vegetable oil, but mine, I like the sunflower and the olive oil. I think it tastes better. And of course, I'm a Spanish mommy, I always have red wine to include with my cooking, and this one is a Ribera that is very good to go with the empanadas. You can also use a Rioja. So now we're gonna go with the process of how to fill the empanadas. It's very easy, and back again, the empanadas, you can do it with tuna, you can do it with chicken, you can do it with ham and cheese. So there are different ways that you can do the empanadas. They're gonna be very tasty. One thing that I want to tell you about the story of the empanadas is that the empanadas, as a matter of fact, the empanadas, the origin of the empanadas is in Galicia and Portugal. It was found a cookbook by Roberto de Nola in 1520 that he mentioned recipes of empanadas in Catalan, in Italy, in France, and also in Arabia. Empanadas, what it means is to wrap a coat of bread, of dough, and any type of meat. It was the working man meal because it was easy for men that they work to carry with them. Empanadas, the way that they came to America was that it was brought by the Spaniards in the early 1600s to Argentina. There were people that moved from Argentina. This is the step of filling empanadas. I have my shells separated by plastic or cellophane paper because I don't want them to stick to each other. I have a cutting board, could be plastic mainly. So we fill it. I take a spoon, and that is the amount of filling of beef that I'm gonna put in empanadas. Be sure back again that you don't have any liquid. You grab it, I try to grab a little bit. They have peppers and the onions and the olives. Be sure you don't overfill it because otherwise it will not close well. Like you're gonna see in this that I put too much. So when I close it, I'm gonna have a little bit of problem. I think I was a little bit hungry when I was doing this. This is one that would be favorite for my daughter because she loves empanadas. She like it really filled to the point that it's almost exploding. But I put too much here. I will tell you to put half of that. And now you try to close it. The way you do is accommodating a little bit of the filling. And you are going to, with your hands that are clean, you're gonna dip your finger in the water, and then be sure that you moisture or get wet the borders of the dough in order that would stick well. And it has to be in all the borders, because what you want to do is close it like a little pocket. You're gonna have a fork also to make the indentations of that empanada corner. Like I said, this one is a big fat one. You're gonna see that I have a little bit of problems of closing it. This is the first one that I have for my daughter, because back again, like I said, she likes her empanadas really fat and full of beef. I'm closing it. You're gonna see that it's a little bit is coming out, so please, when you do yours, do not overfill it like I did here, because otherwise you're gonna have problems to close it. But finally I did close. Don't press it too much that it will make a hole in the middle. You use the corner of the fork to be sure that that corner, you do an indentation that will close the empanada. And then after I do that with the fork, I like to fold a little bit and do like a little fold in the corners to be sure that we're close. You see that one is still in that little corner because it was overfilled. You have to be sure that it is close. Otherwise, when you're frying the empanadas, the meat is gonna come out to the oil and it's gonna make a mess, which you don't want that. So this corner has to be completely sure that it's close. And now I have one empanada to go. And you keep doing all the empanadas, like I said, with that 1 pound of beef to 1 kilo of beef, 2.2 pounds. I'm able to do 10 to 12 empanadas, a small size. And this is the second one that I'm doing. That one, I knew what was the mistake that I did with the first one. So this one, I'm not gonna overfill it. This one was probably is for me or my husband, because we don't like it to overfill. And then the same thing we do in terms of filling, putting water in the corner in order that it will moisture that dough, so it will stick when you close it. You back again, you do like a little pocket. When you flip one side to the other, you press so it will stick, and then the next step you do is back again, use the fork to do the indentations on the empanada. I want to make a disclaimer, this the way that I was taught. I know everybody, especially the Argentinians, are very purist when they talk about how they use empanadas, do the empanadas. I think that the Spanish are very good, but the Argentinians are very famous about doing it, and they really don't want people to change the recipe. So this is back again the way that I was taught by my grandmother. This is less a taste of the Argentina empanadas, because Argentina empanadas have egg, so this is more a Spanish one. So it's not gonna have the same ingredients as the Argentinian. So now you know how to do the empanadas, and we go into the next step, that is how to fry the empanadas. Now we're going with the step of frying the empanadas, and what I'm gonna do is pour my combination of sunflower oil and olive oil, virgin, and I put, honestly, it has to be enough to cover the empanadas, because otherwise they're not gonna fry well. And you're gonna put this in medium high, so I put a little bit more because I find out that I have too many empanadas. Another thing, when you put the empanadas, you don't want to overcrowd it, because this is gonna be medium high. You don't want to overcrowd it, because if you overcrowd it, they're not gonna cook well. So most probably you have to fry it in batches of 3 or 4 at one time. Be sure that it's hot. Back again, the way that I know it's hot is putting my hand and feeling that hot temperature that is emanating from the skillet. You don't want to burn yourself. Some people wait until they start making the little pops that is very hot. You have to be careful with that because when you put the empanada, you can splash yourself. So the way that I know is that I put my hand, I know that it is hot, and that means that I can put my empanadas. And like I said, I would put it in batches of 3 or 4, very slowly. Don't throw it in the skillet. And if you see it's starting to boil, you can see the borders of it. And then we're gonna put another one. And then in this one, I might put in batches of 3. If I have a bigger skillet or pan, I would do 4, no more than 4. Unless you have a deep fryer, then you have a deep fryer, then most probably you can do more than 4. And keep it there and be sure before you even turn over the empanadas they are done. How are you gonna know when it's ready to turn over? Because first of all, you see some of the dough of the sides is getting a little bit golden, but more than anything, you're gonna see the beef cooking inside the empanadas. Another thing that you can do with very careful is some of that hot oil with a spoon, move it over the empanadas, like coating them in order that they will cook faster. But I'd rather leave it there. They're gonna take care of themselves, and be sure that it's not burned. And I would know it when it's almost the corners of the empanadas will be, like I said, golden. Here you see it's medium high. They're starting to get a little bit golden. If you flip it before that, most probably it's gonna break. You have to be sure that the bottom, I flip it here and it's that golden color, that means that the bottom of the empanada is fine. So you cook it and leave it maybe another 7 minutes. That depends of your stove, and it depends also the temperature that you have it. Back again, here I have it in medium high. And you leave it there until the empanada by itself have completely golden, not burned, but golden. This is the perfect empanada that you want. You see it's golden color. It looks very nice, both sides of the empanadas. This is the time to take some tongs and remove the empanadas and put it in a plate. I like to put it in a plate that have some paper towel so they can drain the fat in the paper towel, so people like it hot but not full of grease or olive oil. So put it there, and that would be perfect, and that would drain some of that oil. And after you take those 3, it's time to put another batch of 3. So back again, I did 12, so I did 4 batches of 3 empanadas, which is great, especially for a family of 3. And now, my friends, we have to look at the final end of cooking at least 6 of the 2 first batches of the empanadas. And I have it here. Remember that I can do with this recipe up to 12 empanadas. They're amazing. They look golden. That's the color you want. They go great, especially if you want to do it with red wine. This is the end result of the empanadas, the golden. I'm gonna cut one in the center so you will see how they feel. You would hate to have an empanada like they're doing in some places that are hollow in the middle, and you're really eating air in the dough. This one are crispy, if you see what I cut with a knife, and look how filling they are of the beef, onions, garlic, and olives. This is Spanish Mamma Mia with another recipe of you can do it at home empanadas. If you see they're very crispy, full of beef, go red, great with that red wine. That could be a Tempranillo Ribera del Duero. So enjoy it. Hasta luego, hasta la próxima, and have a good time with one recipe of Spanish Mamma Mia. Be sure you subscribe to my channel and you put thumbs up if you like it. Enjoy it, have a good time, and hasta luego.